All right, so let's talk about these jobs, okay? 9 to 5 corporate type situation. I have a question for you. Let's say that you had been looking for a job, you had been job searching for a minute, and you interviewed at a place. You thought it was okay, you liked it enough to agree when they gave you an offer to start, okay? So you've been there for a week or two, and surprise, surprise, unexpectedly, you get an offer from another job. And, it's just, in your opinion, it's a better opportunity. It pays more, but now you have a dilemma. You've been at job A, okay, been at job A for like a couple of weeks, and you've probably already gotten paid at least once. I'm guessing you've been put in the system. You've filled out all the paperwork. You've been onboarded. Someone has invested a little bit of time in you, giving you some training. You have your desk and it's all set up. Do you stay or do you go towards the new opportunity? And if you go towards the new opportunity, are you feeling any kind of way about that? Are you feeling guilt over the fact that you're most likely disappointing somebody or disappointing a team or an office? So, hey, my name is Bree, and welcome to the Brown Girl Self Care Podcast. This is a platform and space for Black women where we honor our humanity. I saw this on social media, and I'm going to pull up the post really quickly here if I can find it really quickly. Uh, of course, I just lost it. Oh, here it is. So I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to read your response. But I'm curious to know before I tell you what happened in the situation, because this is actually a real life situation someone posted on social media. What would you do in that situation? Okay, what would you do? So here is actually what she said. She says, "I feel so bad. I started a new job on the 6th of this month. And a week later, a new opportunity with a higher salary came out of nowhere, literally from a previous coworker I hadn't talked to in a year. And I put in my 2 weeks today. Somebody tell me something so I don't feel like a horrible person because my boss's face made me feel so guilty." So basically, what I said, but I didn't want to give away what this young lady said. But, she applied somewhere, she got the position, everything was agreed upon. She was there on the 6th. So she'd probably been there for almost a month at this point. And 2 weeks into the position, surprise, surprise, there's another opportunity, a better opportunity, right? One that is uh, more money, plus maybe some other things that she didn't mention here, but at minimum, more money, and she felt like it made sense to jump ship. But apparently, when she put in her 2 weeks notice, which was very respectful, by the way, she put in her 2 weeks notice. And I guess her boss was probably very disappointed, probably annoyed as well. And so now she is feeling the guilt of that decision. She is feeling the guilt of putting herself first. Okay. So I just made a quick response and I'll read it to you here, but then I want to dive into this episode and dive into kind of like talking about this. Okay. So what I said was, you did something audacious. The job you left likely didn't care about you anyway. I'm just being real. Do what you need to do to be safe, well, and happy. More money can help with those things. Okay. And I left it at that because I didn't want to leave a long diatribe, but I thought that it was a wonderful opportunity, a really good opportunity to talk about, again, just these jobs, corporate life, 9 to 5 in, toxic culture, hustle culture, productivity culture, like all these things. Okay. So let me grab my notes really quickly here. Uh, it's hard to do this stuff when you are trying to juggle your phone and your laptop, but let's see if I can find it really quickly. All right, so here we go. So, first of all, I want to say that in this situation, I want to acknowledge that, yeah, it can feel very tough. And she was very brave to just go ahead and put in that 2 weeks because, again, she didn't owe them 2 weeks anyway. Okay, let's just be very clear about that. But the fact that she weighed her options and she figured that this is what was best for her, uh, even though now she's feeling like, gosh, I've disappointed my boss. You know, they invested time. Like for whatever reason, she's feeling uh like she disappointed someone and she's like, please just tell me that it's like, in other words, please tell me that what I did was okay. Like, please validate this decision that I have made, you know? And I get why she feels bad. Many of us, or, you know, Black women, we have been taught to be like the good girl. We have been taught to be loyal. We have been taught to, you know, if we've been given an opportunity, we have to make sure that they know just how grateful we are for this job, just how grateful we are for this opportunity, just how amazing this is. And you know, I'm gonna stay here for 20 years, and you know, thank you so much, blah blah blah. Like we have to be really overly appreciative, overly considerate, um, you know, because first of all, it's a job, you know, and they're paying us money. So we think that they're doing us a favor. They're not. But also I feel like there's this dynamic, at least this is how I have felt about things at times, when there's someone in a position of authority like a boss and you disappoint them, you know, or you know that they're going to be upset or unhappy. At least for me, I feel like because they're in a place of authority, like I don't want to make waves, because for me making waves means that it's the situation on some level is now unsafe. And that goes back to, for me at least, like my childhood. I've talked about it before, and maybe you can relate to this, but you know, I remember as a little girl having to take a note that I got from my school because I was talking or whatever. And so I would be so terrified to disappoint her, because I knew that, or my parent, because I knew that there might be a possibility that I'm going to get my ass whooped, or I'm going to get in huge trouble. I'm going to get yelled at, cussed at, punished, ignored, shamed, you know, berated mercilessly, you know, threatened. So, you know, I have had to do a lot of work around, how can I say this, around just like people in quote unquote authority and how I perceive them, and also uh, how I have now in my like 40s and 50s just now have started to get the courage to, first of all, not put them on a pedestal, but even if I have to have a hard conversation, I just do it. And I don't do it from a place of uh oh God, they feel bad, so I can't do this or I can't say this, you know? Um, but there's just like why, like the fact that she feels like a horrible person just because she upset someone that she's only known for like a month, number one. Um, when all she was doing was making a decision, like a business decision or a decision, a life decision, rooted in her safety, rooted in her happiness, rooted in her abundance, rooted in her peace of mind. It's like, at what point do we stop allowing um, people in a place of authority to dictate what we do with our lives, what moves we make, how we do certain things, when we do certain things, which opportunities we take, which opportunities we turn down? Like, at what point do we make a firm decision that I'm going to live my life for me? And instead of feeling guilty about you doing something that's best for you in your life, your circumstances, um, no longer like we no longer, I don't want to say don't worry about it, but we no longer like put that someone else's emotions on a pedestal over our own. Like it's just that whole guilt thing. And the fact that her boss showed, I'm assuming, a displeasure on her face. You know, this is business. It's not a personal thing. So, I don't feel like guilt necessarily. Well, definitely not in this case. I don't feel like guilt even belongs in the same sentence, but I definitely do understand why that will be the case, and I want to remind you that first of all, she gave 2 weeks notice, which again, I think that was very, very classy. But keep in mind that these jobs, even though we do our best because this is what we have been conditioned to do, like this is the right thing, we've been conditioned to be super loyal, you know, um, going above and beyond, bending over backwards a lot of times, just doing the most to make sure that you are seen as a bright employee, a worthy employee, a employee that really cares about the company and the company culture, and all these things that we're expected to do for this check. By the way, a lot of times these checks are not even worth what we are worth. Okay, but I feel like these jobs, they don't care about us anyway. They don't care about you anyway. So, how about this? Let's say that this young woman was doing the job, and 2 or 3 weeks in, the boss came to her and said, I'm going to call her Shannon. The boss came to her and she was like, "Hey, Shannon, can I talk to you in the office for a minute?" And you go into the office, and there is your boss and HR. So, you know what that means, right? You know what that means. They would have no problem getting rid of you the same day. Or how about this? They would have no problem having you work all the way through to Friday and then calling you into the office at 4 p.m. to let you go at the end of the week, at the end of the day. There's a lot of little things, a lot of shady things that these businesses do. But one thing that they definitely do is they're not going to give you 2 weeks if they're letting you go. Like if they found someone better fit for the job, a lot of times, you know, they don't give, how about this? They don't give us the same consideration that we give them typically. So, if they need to restructure, if they need to lay off, if they need to um rehire the position for whatever reason, if they need to cut, like there's a budget cut, even though you just started, if you're the first one, last one hired, you're most likely going to be the first one fired. You know what I mean? These jobs are going to do what is best for the bottom line. They're going to do what's best for the bottom line. And I can tell you at the end of the day, when they go home at night, they're going to sleep very well. The people in HR, they're going to sleep very well. The CEOs who make um, these decisions from a place on high, they're going to sleep very well. Okay. So, really, sis, like you worrying about disappointing someone that you will never see again, that who, again, if necessary, would eliminate your job and have your seat filled in like a week or less, there's no reason for you to ever feel guilt for doing what is best for you. Okay. But, we're in a system that it really is built on labor and productivity and loyalty and that kind of thing. But uh choosing your own financial well-being over a company's bottom line, over a company's comfort, over a company's minor inconvenience, mind you, it's an act of self-preservation. It's an act of um like choosing yourself. It's an act of prioritizing your well-being. It's an act of allowing abundance to flow into your life, right? It's about allowing ease into your life. Imagine you're now working in a job. I'm assuming it's a similar job, but you're making more money. Now you have more discretionary income to do things with, save more money, put more money into your 401k for future wealth, to order fast food, or not fast food, but order like DoorDash, or order someone to cook healthy meals for you, with food prep, or have someone come and do your laundry, or like whatever the case may be. Now you are allowing more money into your life. And when you have more money in your life, you have more money to kind of like play around with, or use at your discretion. And it's not even just about the money. Okay. Higher pay is not it's not just about like this whole thing about, oh, now I have more money for, I can go and buy these new shoes or these new handbags, or now I can go buy that house or put a down payment on a car, or whatever the case may be. Those are great things, by the way. And I love that for you. But I think more so it's not just those things. It's also like this: more money is more breathing room, honey. More money is more breathing room. It's more, you're just making space. Like if you're in debt, you have a little more room to pay off debt. You're able to rest a little more because now you can hire people to do things for you, like I said. And it's going to allow you to, or to help you get out of survival mode. If that's where you're in survival mode, having more money is definitely going to help you get out of survival mode. So no, you do not have to feel guilty about doing what's best for you. We need to really think about this whole narrative of being the good girl, because it's just like, when you think about this whole good girl narrative, one who is loyal, one who shows up all the time, one who always wants to please the boss and be seen as the employee of the month, and all of those things. I think that definitely is something that is hardwired into us at a very young age. But instead of it being our boss, it's something that we learn to do, like through our parents. Instead of people pleasing for managers, we are people pleasing like for our parents or other people in authority. And we're doing this now as an adult to our detriment. you know when you're a child, at least I'll speak for myself. When I was a child, people pleasing, walking on eggshells, trying to get all A's, which I I don't know if I really did that once I hit like maybe ninth or 10th grade, but I tried. um, trying to read someone's mind and anticipate what they need, or what I'm saying? Like trying to do those things. I guess that's kind of like you're being like a good employee when you're a little kid. That to me feels like the same. An employee as a kid, employee at home versus an employee on the job. Difference is, as a child, we didn't really have a lot of say. A lot of times we didn't have a lot of grace or leeway. If you're someone that came from a authoritarian type of home, or one that was like steeped in a culture where the child is basically seen and not heard, and you do what I say and you do it how I say it. This is how I want it. These are the things I want done. Don't question, don't talk back, don't, that kind of thing. um I just feel like it's basically, you're an employee as a child. Like I can see now as I'm thinking this through, like the similarities. But as a adult, you are able to take yourself out of the situation. You don't owe an explanation. You don't owe an apology. You don't owe 2 weeks notice. You don't owe anything. Okay. And you can remove yourself, like I said, from the situation if that's what you need to do. So you technically don't have to people please, don't have to walk on eggshells, don't have to play the game, don't have to mask, do all these things. Now the challenge is that even though you really, hopefully I'm explaining this correctly, you don't have to, but because of the way that everything is set up, of course, it is hard to do that. And I get why it's hard to do that, because uh, that's just how things are set up. You make just enough money to kind of get ahead. But if you leave, you may be good for like a month or so. And then you may be risking debt, not being able to pay bills and things like that. So you're constantly having that go through your mind. Like, I don't want to lose this job, so let me suck it up. I don't want to lose this job, so let me play the game. I don't want to lose this job because it took me so long to find this one or whatever. So let me just mask. You got to put your armor on sometimes, or a lot of times as Black women, when you go into these office spaces, let me mask up and play the role, play the game, and keep this job, keep this job. But yeah, you technically don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Now, I'm not telling you, and I say this quite a bit, obviously, if you've listened to this podcast before, you've heard it. I'm not telling you to go and quit your job. What I am saying is that you do have options and freedom is available to you. So, no, you don't have to be loyal. You don't have to people please. You don't have to walk on eggshells. You don't have to be the good little Black girl in this office. You don't have to be the highest producing person. You don't have to, like, there's a whole list of things you do not have to do. All right. Personally, as I mentioned several times, I quit my job in 2019 because of the things I no longer wanted to do. I prioritized freedom over having to continue masking and going through depression again because of this job and just a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm not saying that it was an easy decision or that my road from 2019 to here has been paved with sunshine and lollipops, because it hasn't been. But, we have options. So you're not stuck. And no, you do not have to stay somewhere when there are other opportunities available to you, because, like I said, these jobs are not loyal to you. These jobs are not, and definitely not to Black women. These jobs are not loyal to Black women. They don't defend Black women. They don't stand up for Black women. They don't pay Black women what we deserve as a whole. Like, no, no, absolutely not. So, what you do owe your job is, you agreed upon labor. If that's what you signed up for, then do that, during working hours only, if that was the condition. And other than that, you don't owe them loyalty. You do not owe them your life. You do not owe them your energy. You do not owe them your time. You only owe them what exactly you are getting paid for. That's it. And you have your own permission as needed to move around. Okay. So I will just leave it at that. But one last thing I will say is that, if a door opens that is going to invite more peace into your life, invite more money into your life. It's going to give you a better quality of life, like more safety, because like money gives you options. All right. Take it. Walk through that door, sis. Kick the door down and take it. Okay. Take the opportunity that is ahead of you if it makes sense for you. You don't have to worry about, oh, how will they manage? Oh, what will they do? Oh, what will they say? Who cares? Who cares? Okay. And if you are kind enough and gracious enough to give them 2 weeks, because that's what it used to be back in the day, at least when I was uh, younger, it was like you put in your 2 weeks, like you give them 2 weeks, you give them 2 weeks. Um, but I don't know if that's something that, maybe depending on the job, they're even doing, right now. But you do not have to be peeking into that new opportunity, looking into that doorway, but, looking behind you at the old opportunity and apologizing, and, you know what I'm saying, wringing your hands and trying to overcompensate. Girl, take your blessing. Take your blessing. I want us to normalize Black women taking their blessing. I want us to normalize Black women doing what's best for them. I want us to normalize Black women saying, show me the money. Okay. I want us to normalize Black women giving themselves their own permission to do whatever it is that is best for them. All right. I want you to do that. And you do not have to feel guilty about prioritizing yourself. I know that that's not what we're taught. I know we're supposed to, quote unquote, always do the right thing and all that. No. When I think about freedom for myself and freedom for Black women, It includes opportunities to bloom, to advance, to rise, to be more abundant, to be more fruitful, okay? To be more at peace and have opportunities for more peace in your life. And one way to invite more peace into your life is to have more discretionary income so that you can do more of the things that you want to do and get more of the things that you need. Okay. Okay. So don't block your blessing. Don't worry about who's mad. Let them be mad, and you just keep it cute and classy and get in and get out and go on to your next opportunity. Okay. Okay. Seriously. So that's it for this week's episode. Before I go, did you know that I have a private members only podcast right here? Okay. I'm going to drop the link in the show notes. It's only $10 a month. And if you want to take this work that I do a little deeper beyond just what we talk about on the podcast, if you need more reflecting, if you need more affirmation and things like that, then you are definitely going to want to check it out. All right. All right. So that is it for this week's episode of the Brown Girl Self Care Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I am looking forward to connecting with you next Monday. But in the meantime, don't block your blessing, girl. Take the opportunity. Okay. All right. I'll see you next week. Bye.